Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone.
There it is. Okay. Welcome to podcast 451, episode number 39. I'm Creep, and this is Zoe, and we are going
Hello.
to do some stuff or something, right?
Yeah. Oh, hi.
You can do this.
What are you doing?
I'm knocking my earbuds out of my ear, apparently. So, how's your week been going?
It's been okay. I've been doing lots of drawing.
What
We're
do you
well
do?
over. I'm drawing the next Flasherton book. We're well past the halfway mark.
And
It's
it's a
gonna
big
be.
one, huh?
It's gonna be epic. Can I tell people how many pages we have mapped out?
Yeah.
50. 50 pages, people. Which means I've got 50 drawings. Yep.
Now, for people who haven't read Slasherton, how many pages are the books normally?
Um, they're usually around about 25, something like that, past to 35, something around that area at the most. And I'm already on page, I think it's about 34 I'm on. So we're well past the halfway mark, and we're well past the normal length of the book, and I've got technically another book almost to do before I finish it. So, but this is a big story, it needs covering.
Yeah, you got 2 weeks to finish it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I always like to hear. Bit of pressure. Good.
Yeah, awesome. So for those of you who don't know, today the complete second season of Black Star Canyon came out in ebook form. The paperback will be around shortly, but yeah, so that's happening. And then to kind of boost some of the sales of it, not only is it $2.99 instead of like $3 or $4.99, but the complete first season is free right now on Amazon for the next couple days to try to boost that. So yeah,
Pretty cool.
hooray!
Yeah.
It's
How good's
done.
that?
Yeah,
So are you pleased with this one?
I'm very pleased with how the season went.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like I don't know if everything put together is making me feel kind of junky, but today we're going to talk about how to like end like writer's block, or if you're in a slump, or if you're
Yep.
in a funk, how to stop those things. And I think this happened last time I did Black Star Canyon as well. Like I was so into it and so excited, and there was so much more I wanted to do with it, and I wanted to go straight into the next season and all this other stuff, but I
Mhm.
stopped to do other things, and it's I don't know what the feeling is, but it's like I guess like you could compare it to like going on a really good date and really enjoying yourself and wanting to like stay at that person's house overnight, let's say, or something like that, and then having to like go home and then go on a date with like a girl that's not as good looking, even though you really
Only
like the
you,
girl.
only you could compare it. Seriously, people. Only he could bring it back around to that situation. But yeah, I understand that. I can get that. I can
Do you
get
want
that.
me to give you a better example? Like, let's say,
I'm not sure I do because it's probably going to be along similar lines.
no, like, let's say you just got finished watching like 2 seasons of Breaking Bad, and you're all excited for the next one,
Yeah, and you have
but
to watch something else.
Yeah, you're stuck watching like the last season of Married with Children or something like
And
that.
it's good, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, totally get that. I don't
So
know if any of the viewers who are watching, what are you laughing at?
just that whole bit was just ridiculous. Okay.
I would just like to ask people if anybody's watching this on the Google or the YouTube channels, you might notice quite a big difference in our host tonight. There's been some severe hair action going on. Would you like to elaborate?
I got a haircut that my daughter gave me, and she did a really
Yes,
good job.
she did a good job. You
Shar
know what? I'm
says,
gonna.
"Good afternoon, Creep and Zoe. Congrats on the book releases. Yay! Congrats
Yay,
on your."
thanks, Charlotte. Yep, I haven't bought it yet, but I will. I will. And I've noticed Char's been getting a lot of reviews and a lot of people doing blog reviews and interviews and that kind of thing, which is
That's
great. That's what
awesome.
you need to be. It's what you need to be doing.
Yeah, that's what I need to be doing.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
Good job,
gosh,
Char.
it's Jim.
Yay!
You all. Hey, Jim.
Hi, Jim. Oh,
And
wow.
Michael. Hello, Michael.
Hi,
How you doing?
Michael. I would just like to say, Jim, can I just mention that Jim's 150th episode of Hypnobobs is up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but I think I just saw a post to say that it is up, and it's a epic one. But
150 episodes.
150 episodes, that is quite an achievement for a single podcaster as well, sitting on his own, creating the magic. And I'm just saying, I love Jim's podcast, and I have listened to every episode. So if you love literature and ghosts and monsters of all different kinds, and all presented in Jim's unique and wonderful way, get listening to it because it is great. So that's Hypnobobs. 150th episode. So congratulations, Jim. That's quite an achievement.
I don't think I've done 150 of anything. So that's
No, I
pretty
don't think I have. Maybe breath. But
Yeah.
that kind of happens without me trying, so I've managed that.
You said breast, right?
No, breath. Maybe 150 bottles of wine, but that's like breathing.
Michael asks us how we're doing. How are you? We are doing fine, Michael. How are you?
We're doing good, thanks, Michael.
And Jim said it went up today.
Yay!
So
I thought it
congratulations
did.
on that, Jim. That's awesome.
Everybody get listening to it because it is wonderful.
Yes, and Char, I got a haircut.
Can I just say, it has a look of Morrissey.
Excuse me?
I would like to say that it has, Jim might be able to help. Now, I don't know if you'll know, I don't think any of the American viewers will know this, but I like to think it's a combination of Morrissey, David Beckham when he was in the Brazilian rainforest,
Obviously.
and Chris Packham, who does Springwatch.
See, we don't know who that is.
I know. That's why I'm saying maybe Jim will be able to confirm the similarities there.
Well, let me go through the shenanigans. Okay. I wanted a mohawk. I was irritated, and I haven't had a mohawk in many years. And I'm like,
you were hot, weren't you? It's been very hot.
It's seriously so freaking hot. And it might be because I have this giant, like, hair blanket on my neck called a beard. But it's just been really hot. And so I was, like, irritated one night, and I was just going to do a mohawk. And then my daughter, who is 11, talked me out of it, explaining to me how not cool mohawks are, and how her walking around with her dad with a mohawk would make her not feel very comfortable in public. So, so I said that I'll just shave it, no big deal, whatever. And then for those of you who don't know the problems that I have a giant like tumor on top of my head
Oh, would you
that's
please stop calling it
bigger and
that?
bigger. I don't know what the fuck it is.
No, but
So
most people would go. Sorry about the little domestic here, people, but most people would go to the doctor and check.
yeah, most
But
people
no,
go to the doctor.
no, he just sits and keeps feeling it and going, "Oh, it's getting bigger. I don't know what it is. What is it? It's massive." And I'm
Well,
like,
okay,
Jesus,
I
go to
went.
the doctor.
Okay, like a couple years ago, I went to the doctor, and it wasn't nearly as big. And the doctor said it's probably nothing. If it gets bigger, you should probably come back. Well, it's
Which it has.
fucking much bigger now.
Anything that gets bigger in size, other than your genitalia, I'm
Oh
just
my god,
saying.
you are
I'm
for.
just,
Um,
I'm just saying. Usually, parts of your body that grow are not good. You need to
yeah.
get them checked.
So
So anyway, so that discouraged the whole mohawk idea because he
no,
wanted to have
I
some
was
kind
just
of
gonna say.
elephant man type growth.
I was just gonna shave my head, and I was
Yeah,
just like,
oh yeah.
"Fuck, that thing's getting huge. I'm gonna look like that kid from Mask," and I wasn't like that excited about it anymore. So, me and Shaylee were trying to come up with a way to cut my hair, and this is what we came up with. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I could dig it, you know." So the next day, we go to the grocery store, and there's like fucking like three motherfuckers walking around with the same haircut, which was embarrassing on its own. But then my daughter's like, hair twin, and she's like yelling in the fucking store, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! And I was just like, man, I should have just went with the mohawk and embarrassed your ass, dude. Like, I can't fucking believe this.
Yeah, but the point is you've always got the mohawk like in your back pocket. You can always pull that mohawk out.
Well, there's
Think of
nothing
it
in the
that way.
back, so I could have a
Yeah.
weird mohawk on top or something like that.
Well, I
Yeah,
like it. I think you should. I think it. Yeah, it
yeah,
works.
it works. So
Not when you,
that's
not
the
when your daughter's yelling hair twin. That's
yeah,
something that
dude, that was
works.
just like the store was like packed because like everyone was going to get like their Fourth of July shit, and like we're just walking around, and there's all these like hipster dudes with this fucking haircut, and she was just fucking screaming, and it wasn't so much her yelling it was the pointing. Like so, in case no one knew who the fuck she was talking about, bam, hair twin. So that was
So,
just a little much.
so after that, Petter or Peter, as the Americans like to call it, you might want to tune in at this point. They decided to move on to Sally. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Oh, I didn't know what the fuck you were talking about. Well, it was really hot, and I'm tired of my dog shedding, and we were playing with the clippers, so I thought I would shave my dog. And I was sitting there going,
Yes,
man,
everyone.
if you guys haven't seen Sally, she's just this little white hairy dog. And I
She's
was going,
gorgeous.
well, she's gorgeous if you like retarded looking dogs. She's, but her skin underneath is all pink. And I'm like, oh my god, that'd be so cool if I could just shave her and she would be pink. That'd be awesome, you know, just like a little pink rat dog running around. So I get all excited, and Shaylee's like, "No, you can't do this! Oh my god!" So I had her hold the dog down, and I was shaving her, dude. Like, I could not fucking get her hair really cut. Like, the pile of hair that was building up was like, because she was like laying down on this little thing, and I'm shaving her, and the hair's piling up around her, and it's getting higher and higher and higher, and she's not fucking looking any different. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where's all this hair coming from? And I thought for sure she was going to freak out, but she didn't. She liked it, and she just sat there. So anyway, the only part that really looks like her hair got cut is around her neck where all her like undercoat was.
Hmm.
So it's like shorter on her neck. But after all that, dude, like there was so much fucking hair, and there's still hair on her. I wanted a fucking pink, bald fucking dog that won't shed ever.
He's actually admitting this to everybody.
Oh my god, dude, dog shedding is, and she's white, so it's like you could see it everywhere. It's like she sheds all the fucking time, like no matter what. And I miss snuggling with my dog. I wear black shirts a lot. Snuggling with a white dog makes me look like a fucking cat lady. Like, it's not okay.
Well,
Jim says Packham-esque.
yeah, see? Definitely Packham-esque. Chris Packham is he's a naturalist, and presents spring watch and autumn watch and winter watch and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's very
You know
retro.
what? Jim might actually appreciate this. Jim, this week I watched 11 seasons of Towie.
Can I just...
Zoe didn't want me to mention it on the show, but
No, I didn't mind you mentioning it. I just don't want to have any association with it.
okay, let me tell you what association she doesn't want to have with it. I would be watching it. She would message me, and she would hear it, and then go, "What's happening? Is that Arj? What happened?" And so she's asking all these fucking questions, and I'm like, "Just fucking watch it." And she's like, "No, I'm not gonna watch that crap." What's happening though? Was that Gemma?
I've actually managed to get completely up to date and know exactly what's going on and what all the characters look like, what they're doing, everything, without watching a single episode, and I'm very proud of that.
She was Googling images of all these jerks and like listening to what was happening. So, in case you guys don't know, Towie's The Only Way is Essex, and let me just explain. I've been watching Coronation Street, and the fucking World Cup came out and made it to where
Coronation Street,
fucking Coronation Street. Okay, it totally fucked up my viewing. So I remember Zoe saying one day that, "Oh, you should totally watch The Only Way is Essex. You'll totally like it." So I took that as that being a show that she has watched. So I watched the first season without telling her, and I'm like, I'm gonna surprise her, and when I talk to her, I'm gonna be like going, "Oh yeah, so Mark and Lauren, like whatever." And apparently I did that, and she didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. I'm like, "No, Mark and Lauren, Mark, come on." And I'm like saying all this stuff, and she doesn't know. And so I told her I was watching Towie, and then she said that she actually has never watched it and will never watch it, but it's crap, so she thought I would like it. So if that doesn't tell you what's going on over here, if that doesn't paint a picture for you, then yeah. So that's what's been going on.
Yeah, so we've bored everyone to death with our ridiculous telly-watching antics, but there you go. And dog shaving antics, but that's been our week.
Yeah.
And the drawing, and the bringing out of season 2, which is awesome. So there's been some good, creative stuff in there.
Jim says, there's 11 seasons of it? Jesus Christ in hell. Oh, there's actually 12. The 12th season just started. So
he's watched the whole lot, Jim. He's watched the entire 11 seasons.
And I just want everyone to know, the first 3 seasons were good on their own. Then seasons 4 through 8 were good for her, just 4 characters. They were really fun to watch. And then after season 8, everything got really weird and not as enjoyable. But I feel like I have to finish it now.
For completion.
Yeah.
You're a completionist. Can I just say as well that if anybody watches or listens, to Creep's podcast with Eric, the Phantom Eric, Jallo Chow Chow, you'll know that Creep has a huge penchant for interior decoration. And one of the comments he made to me last night was, I tell you something, I've never been, this is genuine, I tell you something, I have never been a fan of wallpaper until I watched Towie. I swear that is what he said to me.
I did say, and what's Damask?
Damask.
Damask.
It's Damask.
Damask.
Which is that kind of Regency, big, flourishy wallpaper. Of course, they have like pink flock on silver. There are more tasteful versions.
It's very pleasing to the eye. And when I was trying to explain to her what it was, I realized that the same wallpaper is in Rover's Return on Coronation Street. So I could have just told her that, and everything would have been fine.
Yeah, we had trouble working out what you were talking about for a while, didn't we? But we got there.
So now that my nerd balls are hanging out and I'm all embarrassed, let's talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
So, oh god. Okay, so
have we got any other news apart from the season 2 going out?
Not necessarily like news. Well, I don't know. We talked about the show thing last week, right?
The show thing? What do you mean?
That thing that I had to go do. Did we talk about it?
I don't know if you did or whether you can you?
I don't know. We could talk a little bit. Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm shooting a pilot for a reality show right now. That's it. That's what I've been doing.
It's pretty awesome.
It could be. We'll see.
Like something.
I'll have more info this week, so...
Yeah, you can't really go into it.
But yeah.
But that's going to be something to be able to tell you about, and it's going to be quite amusing, by all accounts.
I'm going to try to have a big butt contest with Kim Kardashian. I think I'm going to win. So...
You need to put some work in, I'd say.
Okay, but seriously.
Okay.
So I think that's pretty much it. But as far as like news kind of items and stuff like that, we were looking up stuff the other day, and Zoe came across this quiz on one of the sites she frequents, and I think it would be kind of cool. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go into too much detail. Shall I actually read the questions out for people, or shall I just refer?
No, don't read the questions out to people. Just tell them where they could find it and what it is.
Yeah, I just came across it, and I thought people might find it quite interesting. It's basically, let me just have a look here. If everybody or anybody wants to look it up, it is on the Book Designer website, and once again, I might actually get these links up, which I haven't on anything else that I've said, so I don't know why I say it, but I'll try and mention it to you so that you know. It's the Book Designer blog, which is a fantastic thing, and everybody should be looking at this anyway.
And it's thebookdesigner.com.
The Book Designer. No, we had a carry on about that as well.
Yeah.
And the name of the article is "What Kind of Self-Publisher Are You?" Which is quite an interest. There are different kinds. A questionnaire and tips for maximising your self-publishing style, which I thought was quite interesting. It introduces the idea that people have different styles, that they like their books to be done, they like the books to come out, they like the books to be designed, etc., etc. And maybe if you
and also the creative side of it, like how you are as a creative person.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I think it's maybe quite interesting if you understand that a bit. You know, you might find it easier, you know, to look up the things that and the tips that you want to work on, you know. And you actually did it, didn't you? And we found
I did, and it said I was basically 50% a do-it-yourselfer, and then the rest of it was split between an optimist and a collaborator.
Which I think, I said to you, didn't I? I find that like it couldn't be more accurate, because the bulk of the time you do everything yourself, and you take everything on yourself because you find that to be the easiest way. But then you do like working with people and trying new stuff out, and you're always, I'm not sure what the category description is for the optimist, but as just a general thing, you are optimistic in your approach towards stuff. So I think that's quite an interesting way of looking at it. And it basically, the description is, what's your self-publishing personality type? That's right, there's more than one. Maybe you see yourself as one of a kind, and therefore you won't be thrilled to be lumped into a category with others. On the other hand, you might see yourself as a member of a tribe. Your common traits and goals help establish your identity, and you won't like the idea of being placed in a subgroup. As editors, we've had the opportunity to work and interact with a variety of self-publishers, and over time we've identified some distinct self-publishing styles and approaches. Below, we've narrowed our findings to 4 self-publishing personality types. And then there's the questionnaire so that you can work out which it is, and it sort of describes to you the characteristic types. And
there's only 10 questions. It's not a super long.
It's not a long thing. And it gives you tips for maximising your style. So I thought that was quite fun.
One of the things that I really liked about it is that after you take the test and it tells you like what you are or whatever, it has like little things like, because I'm a do-it-yourselfer, like one of the things it had a link to was what was the free book? It was 10 things you need to know about self-publishing or something like that. But then there was this other thing that you could click on that was another free ebook that was like 400 macros you could use. Now, the macros, Zoe and I were talking about maybe doing a whole show on what these things are, but they're basically like little programs that you could embed into your Word document if you were writing on Word that would do things like, let's say, you use a lot of adverbs ending in ly. Mm-hmm. As you're writing, it'll start highlighting all of those. Let's say there's like words or phrases that you repeat too much. It would have like a little thing about that. Hold on 1 second, everybody.
Are you going to look it up?
No, I'm going to do something even better. Hold on. Keep talking.
I'm not entirely sure what you're going to do. I'm a little bit scared. He's covering up the screen on my inside. There's something very odd going on.
There's something very odd going on. All right, I'm back.
Wow.
Huh?
What did you do there? It looked like a zebra walked in front of the screen.
Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fine. I'm just having a total issue right now.
Okay.
So, what else is going on?
So is that it? Have you finished talking about macros?
Yeah.
It's basically, it highlights...
I don't know if we could put them in... I don't think I could put them in Scrivener, but I think a lot of the macros that I was looking at, Scrivener already has things for those. So...
Oh, does it? So basically, if you're doing it in Word, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of really neat things, like... I think I said it already, but like if you repeat a phrase, or if you use a certain word too many times,
yeah.
You know.
But you do get into the habit of doing, don't you? If you're writing, you can find yourself.
Yeah, so does Stephanie Meyer, but we'll get into that a different day. Gosh. All right, but yeah, so that was that. So that was really interesting. So you guys should go take a look at that.
Yeah, it is good. I've just been flicking through. I didn't realise at the bottom of the thing it goes into quite a lot of detail about what what each category is and how you can maximise that and optimise your strengths. And it is good. I think it applies as well. I think it's quite true to you from the questions and from your results from it.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I always trip out when
Computers can work you out.
yeah, it really fucking irritates me. It makes me very not okay. But yeah.
Fun at the same time. If you use it instead of freaking out and think robots are going to like take you down, and actually use the
always think
information.
robots are going to take me down.
Yeah, I know, I do too. It's probably
That's
wise to
always
be on your
been
best. Probably wise to be on your toes, I'd say, about it.
Yeah, more likely than not. Oh, I think we just lost Zoe. Huh, that's kind of strange. I'll try to get her back on here while I do the next bit of the show. I can't believe she's gone. Oh, wait, I think she's back.
I'm back.
What the hell did you do?
I don't know. It just cut out.
Okay.
And I freaked out, but I held it together, people. I think that was quite smooth.
Was it? Because you weren't on this end.
If you just kept talking and ignored it, no one would have realised.
Oh, no, I totally drew attention to it because I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, should we start talking about writing slumps and shit like that?
Well, what do you want? Do you want to do the other thing that we're doing today?
The drawing?
Now? Or do
Or
you want
should
to
we
do
wait?
that at the end?
You know what? Let's make everyone sit through this whole fucking episode.
Let's make them wait. Let's make them wait with bated breath.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
That is how we do it.
Okay, so what I thought, I've done some research on this. Have you?
I have.
Wow.
Let me preface this whole thing.
Okay,
now,
go for it.
I go through slumps, let's say. I don't think I ever have like writer's block where I sit and I'm like, oh, I can't write, I have no idea. Like, I never have that problem. It's more of almost like a depression, like before I start writing. Like, I'm like, fuck, man. Or I'm just like feeling really shit and I just don't have the motivation to write anything. So that's basically my thing, but I know that there's people out there who are all excited to write and sit down to write and can't really get the words to come out, or they think too much about it, or they plan too much and can't get anything happening. So, and because I just ended Black Star, I felt like me personally, I needed to look into this a little bit more because I get in these little funks when I finish something. So that's kind of why we're doing this today. So you could take it from there.
Okay, I would just like to say as well that from, not from a writing point of view, but from a creative point of view, which, you know, people who are watching this might be interested in as well, just generally, I find I have the same problem. If I can work hour after hour after hour doing drawing, doing illustrations for the books, doing all that kind of thing, and when I know what I'm doing, and I have no problem whatsoever, but when that project is finished, just the same as you with Black Star, I go through a period, it could be a week, you know what I mean, it could be a few days, it could be longer than that, where I just have I sort of flounder, and I always say I'm not very good with change, and I have to, like, it takes me a while to sort of get into the swing of things again. Once I'm in the routine and I'm getting on with something, I've got my enthusiasm back again about something, I'm fine. But that period in between, I find very difficult as well, and that's not a writing point of view, that's just creative drawing, you know, from whatever I'm going to be doing, you know, from one stage to the next. So I understand that. So, but what I thought about, I was looking at this, and we were talking about how to approach this, and I found loads of blogs saying various different things about how to combat writer's block and all this kind of thing, which is useful, and I'll go over that very briefly. But I also thought it's quite interesting to work out what it actually is, because it's not just one thing, writer's block. So I found a blog that is actually, it's called The 10 Types of Writer's Block and How to Overcome Them. And this is by Charles Jane Anders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each one, and I'm just going to ask you if this applies to you, and see if anybody who's listening wants to, you know, join in, because I know that you've said one thing that applies to you there, but there are different, you know, kind of through the process we have different discussions about stuff, don't we, and different things that might fit to this.
Yeah.
And I think other people will have different ways of approaching stuff, so I thought that might be quite interesting. Okay?
Okay.
So, firstly, I'm just going to say that I've told you what it's called, didn't I? It's called 10 Ways. No, that's not it. Got a lot of stuff here, but I'll be brief. The 10 Types of Writer's Block and How to Overcome Them, by Charlie Jane Anders. So if you want to have a read thoroughly of the whole thing, and I recommend you do, because it's a beautiful blog post with sort of quite frequent, you know, for each point she has gorgeous sort of sci-fi covers, like 50 sci-fi covers on there. Really, really beautiful sort of post things, so check it out. It's really, really nice. Anyway, firstly, what is writer's block? It seems an insurmountable problem because it's all lumped into the same problem. In fact, it's a lot of different forms of creative slowdown that has a different cause and therefore different solution. So you need to take it apart and understand it, and then deal with it appropriately. So the first one is you can't come up with an idea. Now I'll tell you for nothing, this isn't one of your problems. You can't come up with an idea. You just sit there staring at a blank page. Do you have this problem, Mr. Creterson?
I don't have that problem. Nope, that's not a problem that I have.
No, it's not. This is actually, I mean, a lot of people do have this issue, and they're just sitting there, nothing comes to them. Where, in actual fact, it's one of the easiest problems to solve, because ideas are 10 a penny. But good ones that, you know, appeal to you aren't necessarily as popular. But this is actually one of the cases where the writing exercises do help. You know what I mean? All the classic ways of dealing with it. So you'll write, you know, pretend you're like in a different environment, and something freaky happens, and you have to just deal with it. You know, or like you know what I mean? Just or you hate
just like
something.
kind of writing prompts, like you could look up writing prompts.
Yeah. Which we're going to talk about. We're hopefully going to get an interview with, what's he called, Bruce?
I don't want to say his name in case he doesn't do it.
Yeah, okay. But we're hopefully going to get an interview with a guy who specialises in this, with idea prompts and stuff. But basically, it's just basic things like writing anything down and thinking, you know, like you hate somebody and you want to turn them into something, and you just let things flow, and hopefully something will come out of that really appeals to you. Number 2, you can't commit to an idea. You have lots of them, but you can't commit to a single one. So in the end, they all peter out, and nothing comes to the fore. Ideas that you lose interest in after a few paragraphs, also ideas that you thought were a novel, but actually, you know, turns into a short story. Would you say that applies to you?
To an extent, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've ran into something like that before, and not so much. I mean, there's two things there because there's one that there's too many ideas, and you can't figure out which one you're to do. So that's when I end up writing more than one thing at a time, and it kind of throws me for a loop a little bit. But then there have been a couple things that I thought were really good ideas until I started writing them, and then I realized that there wasn't enough of an idea there to make a full book or something like that.
Ah, well, we might get into that. But there is one here that says, like, this can fall into the two categories, where it says you think it's going to be a novel, but actually it works better as a short story or something.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. They suggest that often the best idea for this is to store all of these ideas that you come up with, you know, write them all down, put them in a file somewhere, and just come back to them in a year, you know, a couple of months, whatever. But just sort of keep going. Don't particularly do it. And she said personally, often when she's faced with this problem, it just happens to be a matter of days, you know, prior to her coming up with an idea, because it's a period of time when your brain is working like crazy overtime, and you're on the kind of cusp of finding a really good idea. So it's not necessarily a bad time. You just haven't quite hit on that cracking idea that you want. Okay, the third point. You have an outline for a story, but you can't get through one particular part of it. There's just one part of it that is a block, and you can't get past that. You may have a major... Oh, no. Have you ever had that problem?
Which problem?
Is that a common thing that happens, that you have, like, a whole idea for a story, you've got it outlined out, but there's a part of it that is just not getting there. You just can't work out how that's going to fit in the story.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't dwell on that. I usually just, at that point, would either skip it and come back to it, or taking, like, what do you call it? Like, just something that I did that day, you know?
Yeah.
And I would add it into there. So if, like, say, I was having a hard time figuring out how to, like, write this, like, scene where these two characters are arguing, let's say, and I got pissed off, so I left, and, like, I went to Subway and got a sandwich, and there was some fucking cockknocker at the fucking Subway who was fucking being a dick. I would, like, come back and write that into that scene. And then usually if I do something like that, I could kind of take off from there.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's a brilliant way of dealing with it. They say here, well, she says here, there may be an actual major flaw to the story, which, you know, if you have a genuine huge chunk in the plot, in the outline of your whole book that you just cannot work out how to get past, it might be a genuine problem. But, you know, and sometimes you can't admit that to yourself, so you can't get past it, and that just stops you in your tracks. But sometimes, it's... Hang on a second, let me read my writing. The outline is fine, but part is impossible to get past. But there's nothing wrong with going off on a tangent and seeing what happens, which obviously you've done there, and just doing something completely different and kind of getting past it. And remember, you're doing this as a draft. You're always, the best way of doing something is to write stuff fast for the first draft, and you go back and worry about these bits afterwards. So you can write these bits in. Do you not think that's a good idea?
I think it's a good idea, but I don't do that. I write one draft, and then that's it, usually.
I know. You see, this is... People are, I think, us talking about... No, it's not a criticism. I think us talking about this is very interesting things to people because I know from my dad, which you know very well as well, that he is.
Dude, I got his email today. Jesus Christ.
I know.
Did you see it?
No, but he told me about it, and I just thought, oh God. Basically, my dad is the utter opposite. People write something, and it flows out, and it's done. Because you don't seem to have any problem with creative issues, and you seem to have a
It's
natural
not that.
way.
It's just that. Let me explain it like this, and this might be a little crass, but I think this is the best way to describe it. There are guys who have sex, okay? And
Yep.
yeah, just remember that you were the first one that talked about growing genitals. Sorry, Zoe's mom. She's the one who started it. Okay. Like, you know how, like, there's people who are, like they go to have sex and they're totally into it and they're getting ready to go and they just go to town, bam, 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 and then they finish, and then they're just like, oh my gosh, and they could just like go to sleep or get up and have a sandwich or go out and mow the lawn or whatever the hell like their issue is, but they're done. Like they needed to bone and then they're not going to be able to do
Don't
it.
elaborate, just move on to the next point.
That's kind of like how it is. Like it's like I have like an idea in my head and I need to fucking get it out. And so like I just like blah, 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 and I just get it out, and then once I finish it, it's really hard for me to go back to it because I feel like I did it. That was my thing and I did it. Now I can move on. And like when I get like the edits back, and I mean even with Black Star, there were a couple times when me and you talked about stuff and you were like, I don't understand how this is. I don't understand why this is like this. You need to go back and fix it. And like I don't get mad, but I get like, what? Like go back and fix it. And so like I'll be like you had an issue with how much Black Star Bear weighed. And I fucking like got pissed off. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? And she's like,
it was a valid point.
You're like, it's too heavy. No one can move it. I'm like, it's fucking hollow. Bam. There you go. It's hollow. And so
he had that exact attitude about it. It was like, oh, well, it's hollow. Obvious. And I was just like, well, okay, keep your hair on, but you need to explain that because otherwise people are just going to be like, what?
So then, like, I put like Mo's like yeah, it's hollow, and then Sheriff Reagan's all, oh, it's hollow, huh?
I think the words you said to me were, there you go, fixed it, bam. I think that's what he actually said. Like he was annoyed with me for actually picking up on anything. And then afterwards he said, no, I do. Afterwards he said, yeah, you're right. You know, I need you to actually point these things out. But at the time he said,
a lot of times I assume that everyone knows this stuff because my characters know it. And so if my characters know it, I assume that the readers would know it. But sometimes I don't elaborate on certain things. I just assume that everybody knows stuff, which is bad. It's a bad, bad, bad thing. So.
Yeah. Okay. The fourth point is just the same as the other one, where you're stuck in the middle and no idea what happens next, which is very similar to the other one. And you may just need, the idea for this is you may, like you said, it says you may just need a couple of days to recharge. If you've been stuck on a while, you probably need to pause and rethink about it. Introduce a new complication, throw a dice, throw a knife, throw something into it that's completely different that might get you out of that situation. But actually your idea where, you know, you kind of just put something else in that isn't particularly part of the story, but it fits in there and it just gets you going again.
Well, let me use this as an example, because like Black Market Blood Drive, the vampire book that I've been working on since like February, I stopped in the middle of when I decided that we were going to do Black Star Canyon again.
Yeah.
But the problem I was having with that was that I felt like I had it all outlined and plotted out and everything like that. And as I was writing it, I felt like it was leaning too much on the romance side of vampire stuff or just erotica or whatever. Like there was just too much emphasis on sex and how many people this guy was having sex with and all that other shit. And
Wasn't enough bumping.
yeah, it was just boring to me. So I went through my outline, got rid of some chapters, combined a couple chapters, and then I just put a lot more action into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it plays better now. It might not be as flowery to read as it was originally, but I feel like as far as like a exciting read, I feel like it's better now.
Do you find that your personal temperament kind of thing affects your writing style, and it might not necessarily always be a good thing? Because readers of your stuff, how do I word this? Like they might actually want more of the story, whereas you personally want things more concise and snappy because that's your
It's not
style.
that I want things more concise and snappy. It's just if I'm writing something and I'm getting bored while I'm writing it, I assume that people are going to get bored when they read it.
That's what I'm saying. But
like that.
Your temperament is quite, you know, you do things at a faster pace than a lot of people do. Like I've just said,
I just want people to constantly. I don't want people to be able to take a breath. You know.
Yeah,
like
and I think
when I watch stuff and when I read stuff, if it's supposed to be, if it's like a satire thing, you know, and it's just like a fun read and you just are going to laugh the whole time, that's completely different. But when I'm doing anything that's like mystery or suspense or horror or whatever, like I want it to be like a nonstop thing. You know, I want like right when you think something horrible just happened and nothing could get worse, I want to make something worse happen. You know, I want there to constantly, and I think the epitome of that was episode 5 of this last Black Star Canyon.
I do too.
I feel like that was just like bam, 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 bam. Like you never have a break, you know.
Yeah. And so, I think to a point then, your writing does reflect your personality, but in a good way. You know, that's your style. That's reflecting who you are, kind of thing, and that's something that you do that other people maybe can't. So people will read your books because they like that.
Well, I'm hoping, because the one thing that I've noticed is that I have, I think, 6 different series out right now, and I'm not seeing a lot of crossover.
No.
Like, meaning, like, the people who like Black Star Canyon haven't really been reading Creepology or Bloodlust Romance or anything like that. And the Bloodlust Romance people, I don't think have touched anything else that I've done. They've just been on those 2 books. And when I hear from them, they talk about those 2 books. You know? Yeah. So I'm hoping that eventually it gets to the point where people just like the writing style and will cross genres with me just because they enjoy how I tell a story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
I think every author wants that to a certain degree, you know, that people, and that's what various authors have said to us, you know, that you're basically, when you're promoting your books and you're promoting yourself, it's you that people want to get to know and to follow. And then they want to follow your style, whatever genre it's in, you know, and that's what you're aiming for. So I think that's quite a common thing that people need to go for. But that takes time, doesn't it? It's not something that you can just fall into. That takes like building up your fan base and building up your
it's
recognition of your stuff.
taking longer than I wanted it to take. Let's say that.
Yeah.
So what's next?
Number 5. This is the worst one. You have a terrible feeling your story took a wrong turn 100 pages back, and you only just hit a dead end.
Oh,
So,
I never did that.
Do you not think this kind of applied in a sort of lesser degree to the blood drive one?
Not really, because I don't think the story ever took a wrong turn. I just feel like I was focusing too much on the romance angle. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's just like when I think vampires, like vampires don't scare me. I just think of vampires as like oversexed creatures. You know what I'm saying?
No, they don't scare me.
When I write them, it's always like a romantic pervert kind of thing.
Well, they're very erotic creatures. That's the whole point of them, aren't they? It's a sexual kind of metaphor. And the whole thing, I think the 30 Days of Night gave me a whole different perspective, and I love that film. Like,
but what you have to understand about 30 Days of Night, you didn't really get into the lives of the vampires. You were in the love story of Josh Hartnett and fucking George whatever girl. You know what I'm saying? So that's like a completely different kind of thing. That's like a love story that just happens to have vampires in it. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to write a book about the vampires, but I'm trying to make it more of a, I guess more of a drama, like more like action and betrayal and shit like that doesn't necessarily have to do with love and sex. So if that's what you're talking about, then I guess so. Like but it wasn't a thing where I'm like, wow, 100 pages ago I wrote something that completely fucked everything up. I have to go back and rewrite it.
No.
Just from this point on, I'm going to up the action.
Yeah, you know? I understand that. But I think that it is something that genuinely happens where you get quite a way in and you think, holy shit, this is wrong. I've done something really bad here. I've taken a bad turn at some point.
Knock on wood, dude. I don't know what I would fucking do if that ever happened to me.
Well, I've got some solutions here. This is allegedly. This is what she suggested as being the worst kind. This is the worst kind of writer's block. Okay. If you're sure that you've gone wrong, there's no point in continuing with it. If you're really sure that you've gone completely wrong, you don't continue the way that you are going. You can go back to the point where you went wrong and start completely correct yourself and start again from that point. Or you can just carry on from the point that you've realised that you've gone wrong, as if you haven't gone wrong, and then go back and plug in that hole, that plot hole, at some point.
Plug in that hole. You're such a perv. What I say you do at that point is a huge plot twist, okay?
Yeah.
And I think the go-to plot twist on things like of this nature is your main character either now has a penis or doesn't have a penis, and you find out that the whole time this character was a different sex. That's a good way to get out of that.
I would suggest what you don't ever do is say that it was all a dream. Don't ever.
Is that what it says?
No, that's my little tidbit of advice for you there.
Does that piss you off when you're watching something or you're reading something and then you find out it was just
all a dream? Yeah, bullshit. No, not necessarily. Sometimes it might work.
I'm gonna make that in all my stories now. It was just.
It works in Dallas.
Why are you trying to spoil shit?
Sorry.
It's like the fucking Newhart show over here.
Point number 6. Your characters that you've created are boring.
Put a dick on them. That's how you fix that problem.
Do you have that problem?
Whoa, have a dick?
Oh, for goodness sake, you have to be so rude. You're supposed to be doing a podcast about writing, self-publishing.
No, I'm just saying, like, if that is, I do have that where I feel like, okay, for instance, I hate to keep going back to Black Star Canyon, but since Black Star Canyon is so big right now, like I've done so much in it, it's really a good thing to play with. But so for those of you who don't know, this is like super spoiler territory. So if you haven't read Black Star Canyon and you want to, fast forward a little bit. But so at the end of season 1, Lucas dies. Okay. And the whole first season was really based on Lucas and his interactions with people. So Lucas was gone for like the first 2.5 episodes of season 2. So what that made me have to do was take all these supporting characters that I put in season 1 that some of them weren't even supposed to be there in the first place. I just needed to put a body in a scene or something like that. But now since Lucas is gone, these characters have to all of a sudden kind of take over and be the stars of the show for the next like 2.5 episodes. So that was really fun and exciting for me because now I feel like there are so many really deeply explored characters in Black Star Canyon that I could fucking go on forever. You know?
I was going to say as well that there's quite a few of people, including mine, favourite characters weren't even going to exist at some point, whether they just kind of were put in for various different reasons, just to.
And then, like, I put a new character in the last episode that I wasn't even going to have in the story at all. And then it was just like, as I was writing, all of a sudden this dude walked in, and he was like, the character is Otis Judge, and Char's so funny. Char's like, what? You killed Luke? Okay. But so this character, Otis Judge, walked in, and he just, as I was writing it, he became like, he's a lot like Sheriff Reagan, but he's like the complete opposite of him at the same time. And it was just so fun. Like, the interaction between them as I was writing it was so fun that I decided to keep him around. And I did it in the middle of the thing. Reagan says, how long are you staying? And it was supposed to be, well, I'm just going to be here for the trial, and then I'm leaving. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to hang out for a couple weeks. And I'm like, oh, great. So now I have Otis to play with for the next couple weeks. But
are we allowed to say about Sue?
About what?
But about Sue in the first season, she wasn't meant to be as big a character, was she?
The only thing I had actually written down for Sue was when they find the first body. Lucas and Cheney have to go off and start questioning people who live nearby. But I'm like, there should be somebody in charge of the crime scene. I can't just fucking have them leave the crime scene. So they're like, hey, Sue, make sure that blah, 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 blah. And then this character named Sue is like, okay. And that was originally all she was going to be. And then I looked through my notes from over the years and everything, and there was a note saying that Eric's mom worked for the sheriff's station. So once I noticed those things, I just kind of put those together, and now all of a sudden Sue is Eric's mom. And it was just, she was like the perfect character to be like in the meetings and everything. Like, whatever Lucas and Cheney didn't know, this character could take care of. And then when Cheney vanishes in episode 3, I think it is, at the end of episode 3 of the first season, it took a lot of pressure off of Lucas in my writing, being everywhere that he had to be, because Sue could take over those smaller things and those smaller tasks.
Yeah.
And so that worked out really, really well. But then even then, I think by the time I got to episode 5, I was like, I still fucking need people. So that's where Dyer and Reed came from. You know, I had to make more deputies to kind of be a part of it. But I don't know if this is necessarily answering the question, but whenever, for me, if I have a character who isn't very interesting, I'll do a chapter about that character. And I know what a lot of people do too is like they'll write like a backstory that never ends up in the book, but they'll just like off to the side write like a character history of someone. So they kind of get to know that character better and all this other shit. But I have this like problem where if I'm writing something about the story, it has to go in the story. I can't write something that no one will ever read. I feel like that's wrong.
It might as well all be out there.
Yeah, I feel like it's cheating or something. But that's just
like if it's
weird and OCD.
no, but I suppose it's also if it's important enough to write down, it's important enough to include.
Yeah.
That kind of the thing she suggests for this particular thing, if you have this problem, and again, if anybody has any issues or questions about these things that we're going through and they want us to talk about it, which more than we are already, just put them in the comments and let us know. Either she suggests here, either you haven't created your main character yet, which is quite an interesting point, or you haven't found what they want, or the conflict that will spur them into action. So it's quite, sometimes your protagonist or your antagonist or whatever hasn't come out. You might have all these characters, but none of them are shining out at you. And she says sometimes,
I hate to use this as an example, but it is a really fucking good example of characters and how they interact with one another and then their growth through a series or whatever. But if you haven't read Lord of the Rings, like you really should read it just to see how a character like Sam grows through the 3 books. It's like all the characters in Lord of the Rings are really good and well thought out characters. Every single character. So like that, to me, like I don't read fantasy, and I've read Lord of the Rings maybe twice from as a kid and then once again as an adult. And more than anything of that series is just the character growth and development that you should take from it.
I suppose their development, their journey is their sort of self-development as well. It's not just the, physical journey or the...
Yeah, because all the characters grow. Like, every single character in that series is completely different at the end than they were at the beginning.
Massively. These are like little, sort of coddled little cozy hobbits who love their home comforts, and they end up having to face all sorts of things that they would have never even thought about. Which, if you put them in that situation, if you just plot them into the last sort of section of the book, they wouldn't handle it.
Just to add to it, one of the things that kind of depresses me, and maybe I'm reading Lord of the Rings wrong, but one of the things that depresses me about Lord of the Rings is after all that's said and done, and they go back, and they just had this crazy adventure that was like life-changing, and now they have to go back to the life they had before. And to me, that is like one of the most depressing, and I think in that book it's better than I've read it in any other book. And if there's a better example of that, someone let me know what it is. But like,
I think you're right.
It's just really sad. And I know that's not what I was supposed to get out of it, probably. It was supposed to probably be like a relief. But I thought it was like seriously like the most depressing thing. Because I don't know if anyone has ever... And it's kind of the same like when you go make a movie, because you end up like living and breathing with a certain group of people that you normally would never be around. and you guys are all going for a common goal, and then all of a sudden the movie's over and you all go your separate ways and you go home. And there's a lot of times when everyone's like, it's like summer camp or something like that. You're like, oh, we're always going to stay in touch. We're always going to be friends, blah, 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 blah. But then everyone goes back to their life, and it's fucking depressing. I don't know. I don't know why I just went on that tangent. That had nothing to do with anything I'm talking about.
It's true, though. I find exactly the same thing. I think if you manage to have that self-growth and you push yourself all that way and you achieve all those wonderful things and scare yourself, but you do it, you know what I mean? Past being terrified, but you manage to force yourself to do these incredible things, and then you go home and you're all cozy again. There's something like, what's the point?
I mean, just imagine how Luke Skywalker felt after the party on Endor. Like, does he just like go home and make a TV dinner and like?
I know.
Sit
exactly.
And like, what the fuck is Skywalker gonna do now?
Exactly. There's something incredibly like, you know. Oh yeah, that's a really scary thought. All these adventures.
And
like
I always
Ripley.
think about that. Every single. Did you say Ripley from Alien?
Yeah.
Yeah, bitch ended up going to sleep and waking up with a fucking really shitty fucking thing. But her thing, it was always going on, and we saw her die. So
I know, but imagine if she'd just gone back after all that. She just landed at home and like was just like going to the supermarket.
That's what I think about this all the time, like The Thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So does he go home and just like watch a football game and hang out with his buddies? Like, what the fuck are they gonna do after that? And that bothers me when I watch everything. But Lord of the Rings, it was worse because I think it's the last chapter. They go back to the Shire, and it's like, okay, here we are, you know. And it's a weird thing. But like, whenever I watch a movie or read a book, if there's some big thing, and one of the other ones that kind of depresses me but kind of doesn't is like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because it's like he just made up this giant adventure that didn't even really happen. I mean, it happened, but he was the only one who was really panicking and nervous about everything. So with him, it's not a big of a deal because he could go home and go to the grocery store and have it turn into
he'd probably still have the same terrifying experience just going to get these groceries. Yeah, I know.
But like anything else, it's like, fuck, man. Like imagine like Bruce Willis after Die Hard. What did he do? You know?
It was Christmas. We'd have gone home and like opened presents.
It's fucking crazy.
I know, it is, totally. Anyway, that's something to think about, everybody. But it's true. It's a very valid point. She suggested that sometimes it's okay, if your characters are boring, sometimes it's okay to just keep writing nothing much about them because you're actually just quietly developing their personalities and their characters, and hopefully something will come out of that.
I almost think people should watch soap operas. Because like whenever shit gets boring for a character, and a husband that no one ever knew they had shows up, or an illegitimate child shows up, you know, just like anything, you know, it's like they are so good at like pulling something out of a hat and say, oh, this character is fucking boring as shit. Let's destroy their life. Bam, you know. I think just soap operas in general are really good for that.
But I think as well that comes down to a certain person, a certain type of author that can use that kind of experience and who's brave enough. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but is brave enough to just can't completely blindside people with that storyline. Some people's styles don't work like that. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine what would have happened if halfway through Lord of the Rings some bitch showed up and she's like, Frodo, I'm pregnant? That would have changed everything.
Kind of would. and I don't know if necessarily in a good way. Okay, I'm moving on. Number 7. You get paralysed because you imagine. Oh, hang on. You get paralysed in your story writing because you're imagining all the things, all the criticism that people are giving you about the book. You're imagining all the, all the scenarios and all the criticisms that you're going to get about it. Have you got comments or not?
Yeah, Jim kind of rang the same bell as I did. He says, I always wonder what happens after the story ends. Kim Newman, written as Jack Yeovil. Drakenfels is a great tale of what happens after fantasy characters have completed an epic quest and defeated the Dark Overlord. That would be cool. I've never heard of that. I'll maybe take a look at that.
Okay. Need to look that up.
Here's another good example. If anyone's ever played the game Fable on Xbox or whatever, once you beat Fable, you could still play. And you could still like go and collect rent from people, and you could turn bad or good and like go kill people in the woods or chase fucking orcs or whatever the fuck it is. But like the whole tone is different. Like
you've no point to it, but you're just like, kind of doing stuff.
Yeah, like why do you keep going? I'm gonna keep going, try to get married and have a family in Oakvale. You could do that if you fucking want to do that. And it's so fucking weird. It's just one of the weirdest things ever. Okay, I'm sorry. So go ahead.
I want to read that book Jim said because I bet it's class. What was that? I'm sure there was one that you were talking about that was about. We'll discuss it later. I think it was. Was it one that the guys from the self-publishing podcast wrote about a taxi or something?
Are you talking about Space Shuttle?
Yeah, was that a similar kind of thing?
No.
Oh. Okay, ignore me. We're going back to you get paralysed, being paralysed with fear about what people are going to say. You're so worried about criticism that you can't write anything, basically. This is your inner critic. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that. At some point in the writing process, you need that scorn when you're revising the book, but not at the first draft stage. Chances are your ideas aren't really as bad as you think they are. Now, again, this won't apply to you, will it? Because
no, it totally will. Like I'm my worst critic, and I worry about stuff all the time. But the thing that's different for me than probably most people is I've done enough stuff that has gotten really shitty reviews, and people have said like the most horrible things. Like I made this one movie that is arguably a really bad film. But as many bad reviews as I got for it, I've gotten good reviews for it too, and I've actually had people say it's their favorite movie, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And but I mean, I had people say I should. Yeah, that was really subtle. But people like said there was this one review on Netflix, and it's like this guy should die. Go die. That was like the review I got.
That's really nice.
That it was nasty, but it's like I already.
That's what I'm saying.
As much as I don't want bad reviews, I know I'm gonna get them because not everyone's gonna like everything that I do, and so I kind of just assume I'm gonna get some, but I know I'll get some good ones too. So
you kind of just got to go for it and try and ignore that. Just go for what you were wanting to do. Okay. Do you ever have the problem, this is number 8, where you can't think of a particular word to convey and it just blocks you completely? Like you've got a paragraph, you've got something that you want to say and you just can't say that particular paragraph. It might be just a single word.
Yeah, but usually I'll either go to thesaurus.com if I could come up with a word that's kind of like it and hope that I find the word, or I'll go on Facebook and whoever I see is online at that exact moment, I'll hit them up and go, hey, what do you call it when fucking blah, 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 blah? And I'll get out of it that way. But this is really stupid. But one of the things that fucks me up along those same kind of lines is I'm writing something and like there's some word that I don't really use very often, and I'll spell it wrong, and I know it's spelled wrong, but the spell check doesn't pick it up right away. And I'm like, there should be a red underline under that word because I know it's spelled wrong. But then it doesn't come up. Or I'll go, if it does come up, I'll click on it, like I'll right-click on it to find the correct spelling, and it'll say no suggestions because I've spelt it so fucking wrong that, like, even the computer has no fucking idea what I'm talking about. And that fucks me up because then I stop writing and I'm, like, trying to figure out how this word is spelled. And so, like, I'll go on Google and start writing it a bunch of different ways until it'll, like, finally pop up and tell me how to spell it.
So you find the spelling of it is actually harder. That sort of halts you in your tracks more than actually coming up with the word in the first place.
Yeah, because I can't remember what book it was, but it was one of the first books I self-published. I spelt a word completely fucking wrong, and it was so wrong that it didn't get picked up in the Word document or whatever. And then I put the book out, and then I realized after, I can't remember, someone said, they're like, yeah, there's some fucking word in your book that's not a word. It's like long and all fucked up. Can you figure out what the fuck that is? And I panicked, and then I fixed it and re-uploaded it. But it was like, I don't know how many copies of the book went out with that. Fuck. It was like triflagofloke or something. It was just like some fucking stupid-ass word that's not real. So that, I always have that in the back of my mind. So if I spell something wrong, I have to try to fix it right away.
Yeah, she's basically suggested on top of that. Sometimes she can just get completely stuck on that and spend the whole day just staring at it, stuck. And she said there's nothing wrong with fussing about to find the sentence that you want, because that's your natural way of creating the feel and, you know, the situation that you want in that particular part of the book. But if it goes on, it's kind of just worth bunging any old word in that sort of does the trick, and you can go back to it if you need to, which is just what you've said, you know what I mean? Or ask somebody, or look it up and try and work it out that way. But I think, I mean, it comes down a lot of the time to perfectionism as well, doesn't it? With people who are just kind of, I would find it really difficult. I know for a fact, not just the fact that I'm rubbish at writing, I just couldn't do it, but also by just not getting stuck, not being able to express what I want to say.
Yeah.
You know, and just getting caught up, tangled up with myself. Anyway, number 9, we're nearly there, folks. Incredible story in your head, but now you're actually putting it onto the screen, it turns out to sound stupid. So it sounds amazing in your head, but when you start to write it, sounds rubbish.
I never have that problem because most of my ideas are really fucking awful, but then I just make them fun.
I think you've got such, I'm not just saying this, but I think you have a very refreshing way of dealing with it. I think a lot of people, like my dad, for example, wouldn't be able to cope with that. Everything's so serious, and so his way of dealing with it is to spend months, years, preparing all his.
I can't fucking do that at all, dude. Like,
no,
I would go crazy. It's like, yeah. I don't think there's any bad ideas out there. There's just bad execution. No. So, yeah. Like, every idea out there, no matter how shit it is, could be amazing if you write it well. So, yeah. That's just how
I think you're right, but I think people have different styles of working, and it's as simple as that, you know? And I know that my dad has to do it. He's a perfectionist, as we know. He has to go over everything until he's comfortable with it himself, and it's a control thing. I know it is. And I know that a lot of people have to do that. You know, every little last detail has to be okay. Whereas other people like you are more spontaneous, and it's like a physical action. It has to come out. You know what I mean? It's like poetry almost.
If you don't like one of my ideas, you'll like another one. So
Yeah. Yeah. And not a lot of people approach it like that, you know, and it's a refreshing way of doing it. There's different ways of handling it. Again, sometimes it's just your inner critic, you know, going crazy. Sometimes there is an actual problem. There's nothing wrong with abandoning that idea and starting over, because it's all fertilizer for future novels. That's how she's put that. You know what I mean? If you actually do have to scrap it and start again, you can come back to it at any point. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think so. Kinda.
She's put both. There's a possibility that some of that idea is salvageable, or it's maybe good and the execution is wrong, like you said. Maybe try writing from a different character's point of view or from a different perspective. You know, it's like approaching things from a different idea, and I think that makes a lot of difference as well. Sometimes it's just how you're approaching the problem or how you're writing it that isn't right. Like you said.
Yeah.
And the last one is revising your work, and you can't see past all the blocks of text you've already written. Revising is hard. You wrote the first draft quickly, and then you fix and rewrite. That's your kind of basic way of writing. A lot of people do. You've kind of sort of got yourself into a fix already. Sometimes you have to approach from different angles. Sometimes feedback helps, you know, to point out problems and flaws and bits that maybe don't work and bits that do work. This could be argued that it isn't actually a writer's block at all. It's just the natural process of ironing out little kinks in the storyline. So that's that, which I think hopefully it might have been quite interesting for people. But I also found another blog which is just a basic list that I'm going to go through, which is really quick, but I think this is it, like just general hints of how to deal with it, and that's 10 Ways to Combat Writer's Block by Julie McCormick. One is to take a break, go back to it at a later date. Do you find that useful? You know, watch TV, go for a run,
Kinda.
anything to take your mind off it for a while.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It does if I'm going to like watch TV or just like go recharge my brain or whatever. It has to be something that's like inspiring to what I'm doing. So
right.
like, for instance, like I started watching Buffy when I was writing Black Market Blood Drive. When I was like having hard times with that, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Buffy's the greatest," blah blah blah. So like I started watching Buffy, hoping to get inspired by that, and it didn't really work. But in other situations, it does.
But you find, so not just taking your mind off it completely isn't necessarily a helpful thing to you.
We have a couple comments here that I should probably say. Viola says, "Nice new haircut," and we haven't seen you in a while, so hi.
Hi.
Thank you. And she also said, "Black Star Canyon was awesome. Made me feel like reading Agatha Christie again." That's awesome.
Wow, that's fantastic comment.
Thank you.
Hey.
Are you going to continue?
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you finished or not. Point 2, try writing in a new place. A change of scenery sometimes helps. Have you ever tried that?
Not really.
You don't really have a problem with writer's block too much. It's the bit in between, isn't it, like we said?
It's when I finish a project and have to start a new one. Like, that gear change is usually pretty hard.
Exactly the same for me. I find that the same. 3, write about something else completely.
Yep.
Now, that's definitely something that works for you, because I can speak from personal experience from him telling me last night about various burgers he'd invented.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm either gonna have a food truck or a restaurant. And yesterday I was supposed to be writing, and instead of writing, I wrote a menu of my restaurant that's never gonna open. So,
yep,
but I have plenty of burgers. I have plenty of burger ideas, people. So watch out.
plenty of burgers and 11 series, sorry, of Towie under his belt. So there you go. Take from that what you will. Okay.
Oh shit.
Number 4, figure out when you work or when you write best. People's biorhythms are different. You might work best in the morning, in the middle of the night. Work it out. Work out what suits you best and avoid the difficult times. A lot of people have problems writing before dinner, for example, before lunchtime when the blood sugar's low.
Yeah.
And how does that apply to you?
From just experience, like, if I'm pulling one of those all day things where I'm writing all day long, like I'll probably like throughout the day only get like 2,000 or 3,000 words done. But then as soon as like Shaylee goes to bed and like there's not a whole lot of stuff going on the side, I could write like another 6,000 or 7,000 words in the same amount of time. But I just kind of try to have my project files open all the time, and I'll just like come in and write as much as I can throughout the day. But I tend to do better at night. But I have to have a shit ton of caffeine in me. Like I seriously need a fucking IV drip of fucking espresso to be able to fucking do this.
Yeah. Not maybe the most healthy way of doing it, but it works.
Yeah.
And number 5 is exercise. That horrible E word. Basically, exercise preserves memory, apparently, because it increases the blood flow to the brain. So if you have, hey up, and
I
everybody
got my
say
weight next to the thing, and if I need to work out while I'm doing stuff, I grab a weight and I start lifting it, do some curls and shit to get my blood going.
That's actually like a 50-pound weight, but it looks like a little. Oh, dear.
Oh shit.
Yeah, apparently that helps. Does that help you apart from your dumbbells?
Yeah. Apart from my bell end, it helps fine.
Oh, for goodness sake. Number 6, you can actually trick your brain. Trick yourself. Tell yourself you only have to write for maybe 5 minutes. It might be enough. If you actually convince yourself, it's alright, I'm just going to write for a few minutes, it might actually be long enough to get you interested, to keep you writing.
Well,
again,
if you're that stupid, then that'll probably work.
Also, the other way to try it is maybe you can do it as a more informal way, like write it as if you're writing an email to somebody or something, so you're approaching it like in an informal style.
I think if that's kind of the way to go, I've never done this, but I think it might work for some people. Instead of sitting there with your fucking like Word document or your Scrivener file open while you're writing, if you're really having that much of a hard time, just open Facebook and act like you're gonna fucking put a post up on Facebook and start writing your chapter in Facebook and then copy and paste it and bring it over. If it's just
pretend you're just writing it to somebody.
Yeah, that might work. Hell, it's gonna suck balls on Twitter, but you can probably do that on Facebook.
Yeah, because I can imagine that, if you're doing it with a completely different attitude, because let's face it, you don't, people are different, of course, but I think for Facebook, you're basically doing it from an entertainment point of view rather than from an incredibly...
The problem that I can see happening is like someone hits enter,
I know,
and then all of a sudden it posts, and they're like, ah, Jesus fuck, and then they like start panicking and stuff like that. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that could be a problem. Number 7, limit the time you have to write. So if you are someone who procrastinates or slacks off, this may work well. This is my kind of thing. Restrict yourself to maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. This gives you less time to be distracted and think, oh, I can go on Facebook for a bit because I've got all day. Or, oh, I can go to the shop. Or, oh, I can do so-and-so. If you literally have 2 or 3 hours to get a certain amount of work done, then you've got a goal that you have to do. Do you think that would work?
That's another one of those things that it's like you're trying to trick yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, I think so, but you have to just, at that point, you just have to be very, not stubborn, but like in like a routine. Like you have to start making your life a routine if you're going to start saying, okay, I'm going to just write for this amount of time from here to here. You know, you have to train yourself to do that. If you're not doing other things like that, like if you're not like, okay, at 8 o'clock I'm having breakfast, at 8:30 I'm taking a shower, you know, at 7 o'clock I have to go out and walk or something like that. If your life is not structured that way, I don't think that'll work at all, and I think procrastinating people will find a way out of it. There is one more comment here that I want to say just because it makes me happy.
Okay.
And it Viola again, she says, if you guys were offered to turn the books into a TV series, would you guys do it? I think Black Star Canyon would make a great TV series, could give True Detective a run for its money.
Wow.
Yeah, we've actually been talking to people about turning it into a show. And in case you missed it, the complete second season is out today. It's on sale. So if you haven't read season 2 yet, you could get it now. But thank you so much. Yeah, we're trying on that, and I swear to God, as soon as any good shit starts happening in that direction, I'll let everybody know. Because that's like what the plan is. For real.
That's what the plan's been from the start. That's been your dream, hasn't it, to get it out there as a show?
Definitely.
Yeah, so fingers crossed there's been interest in it, so it's not exactly out of the world, is it?
Glad you like it. Yeah.
Very exciting. Okay. Number 8, we're nearly done. Read a book, magazine, newspaper or something. Sometimes just scanning headlines or flipping images can inspire you.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
I do as well. It's the same as just sitting on a park bench watching people, I imagine.
Sitting on a park bench, dun, dun, dun. Okay, no, but seriously. But I also think if you are a water sign, this is going to be pretty stupid, but I think this is pretty accurate. If you're a water sign, take like an hour-long shower, and by the time you get out of there, you'll have ideas. You'll know like.
You've written
yeah, I did a blog post about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I noticed that people who are like a Pisces or the other water signs, I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but I actually have talked to people, and it is totally something that like recharges them. But then like I'll talk to someone who's like a fire sign or something, and they're like, no, that's fucking stupid. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, whatever.
What's
so
a
we'll
Libra?
go.
A Libra Earth or Air?
I don't know. Earth? I don't know.
Earth, man.
Sitting on a park bench. Why did you do that? I'm going to fucking be doing that the whole rest of the day. I haven't even got to talk about the shit I did research on. We're still on yours. So go ahead. We were talking about...
Oh, God, have you got loads of research? I thought I was doing...
But I have 3 things that I wanted to talk about on it. But go ahead.
These are really quick. 9, always carry voice recorder or notebooks with you. Write down ideas anywhere, anytime. This way, if you're struggling, you can pull notes or listen and remind yourself how you thought at the time. So that's quite useful.
Yep, that is.
Which you've done. You've got notebooks from years back.
I have notebooks up the ass, but I've been using my smartphone to kind of do that. Until that one time that my smartphone took a shit on me and like deleted a bunch of my notepad files. That scared the crap out of me. But and I never got that shit back, so I'm still kind of bummed out about it.
But that's very useful to you, though, to be able to look back and to remind yourself of bits that you've forgotten. Number 10, use mind mapping. Simple mind maps can help you to get all ideas down on paper. Write everything you want to say on the topic or all topic ideas. You can come up with a unique angle by linking together the most unusual of those ideas, for example. Easy to sort into categories. So there's your last one. So hopefully you've got some ideas there. That was 10 Ways to Combat Writer's Block by Julie McCormick.
Jim said Libra is air.
Thank you, Jim. I thought it might have been air, but I wasn't sure.
So maybe you need to take a airplane ride or something. And Shar posted the link for the complete second season. Thank you, Shar.
Oh, thanks, Shar.
Now, I actually have a couple things here for just like a writing slump. And this first one I got from a site called writingfordollars.com. Some of this is kind of weird, but there were some things in it that I think are really a big deal. It says write positive, go beyond thinking positive, like you need to actually write something positive. And I can see kind of how that works, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Another thing is gag your inner critic, and we were talking about that with what you were talking about, and I think that's try something new. It says an excellent way of recharging your batteries is to do something you've always wanted to do but never did. So, like for me, like when I wanted to do the vampire book and the zombie book, that was kind of that thing, you know. And I think Zombie Alpha it worked really well with, but with Black Market Blood Drive, I ran into a bunch of other problems. And then it says have a 1-minute dance party. I do not think that's a good idea.
That is the best idea ever.
But the best thing on this that I think is a really big thing is declutter. According to the ancient Chinese principles of feng shui, the practice of living in harmony with the natural world, positive energy cannot flow where there is clutter. Think about it. Isn't it harder to concentrate when your desk is littered with coffee-stained drafts of old articles, crumpled candy wrappers, and pens that don't work? Get rid of them. You might be surprised at how reinvigorated and inspired you feel when you sit down to work in your clean, organized environment. Now, let me say that this fucking bitch has apparently snuck into my house and looked at my shit. And I'm a little upset about that.
Can I just say, how would you feel about turning the screen round and showing everybody your desk?
I think I would say to that. Yeah, I'm not interested. But, like, I had a yard sale a while ago, and I didn't get all my shit out to the yard that I wanted to because people showed up an hour early because they're assholes, if you heard that episode. And so my house looks like a fucking train wreck right now. And my desk is a fucking disaster. Like, really, really bad. And I'm having a hard time right now, so I was thinking that maybe today I'm going to make Shaylee clean the house, and then I'll be able to get some work done. Shar says, water signs are Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer. There you go. What else do we have here? What? I love this. I don't know what to say. I never knew that my dearly beloved hometown Jeddah can be so beautiful since my mother hated it. Pretty sure that was a spam question of some kind, but moving right along.
Interesting anyway.
Very interesting. So another thing that I had found...
We were actually just discussing that point though, weren't we? That you get overwhelmed, you know, with all clutter, and when you've got stuff to do. It's really difficult.
It is.
And sometimes it's actually worth putting work off for the day. Like, you feel like you have to keep working, you have to keep writing, you have to keep drawing, whatever, but sometimes it's actually worth sacking it off for the day and concentrating on cleaning the house, getting things put away, getting things organised.
I'm really trying to take a day off every week. I really, really am, but I'm having a hard time doing it. But then I realize that the days I'm supposed to be working, I'm watching Towie. So what the fuck is my problem? So
Exactly.
so there was another site I saw called WritingSideways.com, and it had 3 ways to get out of a slump. One is to have multiple projects to work on. And it's like if you're writing a novel, have some short stories or poetry or maybe an article or a blog post or something that you're working on at the same time. So if one you kind of feel like isn't going well, you could jump on another one. This is okay, and this is kind of how I do a lot of stuff, but at the same time, what I end up doing is outlining other stories, and then I get so excited about those that I start working on them. So what I did is I have a wall, like, dry erase board calendar hanging up, and I have on there what day I'm supposed to be writing which story. And it worked really good with Black Star Canyon, but I'm supposed to be writing Black Market Blood Drive, Zombie Alpha, the next Shallow Jallow, and the last Bloodlust romance book in this month. And to be fair, I'm completely fucking behind. So hopefully I could get the Black Market Blood Drive and Zombie Epsilon done this week. That's my goal.
Do you know what I think may be a slight problem to that is that you don't allow yourself time for these slumps.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to have slumps. I think what I'm going to do next year, because that's how far my schedule is already booked, next year I'll have like a 3-day break after my slumps, or after I finish a project. How's that sound?
That's what I think is a good idea, because then you're not actually behind. Because if you break into another project.
Why don't I just go to Vegas after each project? That would be fucking the shit, dude.
It would be.
I'd like that. Another one, the next one is actually get away. Like, if there's too much stuff happening, take a couple days off and go somewhere for a long weekend. We were just talking about this. I think that's a great idea. I think I'm going to go to the Pinball Hall of Fame tomorrow.
I think it is a great idea.
The last one this one has is talk it out. If you've weeded out the naysayers, your support system will consist of people you trust and you're close with and who are enthusiastic about your work. These people you should talk to. I think this is really important. The problem I have with this is that my support team, like especially with Black Star Canyon, really like Black Star Canyon and don't want spoilers. So I can't really fucking talk about what's going on with Black Star Canyon because there's huge cliffhangers and huge spoilers. And so I can't, like, and there were a couple times when I would talk to Zoe and I'm like, okay, I can't really tell you what's happening, but I need to work this out. Blah, blah, blah. And I would, like, start talking about something and then have to stop. And then she's all fucking confused, not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about. And,
I'm getting mad in case he's blown something that I really don't want to know.
Yeah.
He's going, don't say it!
In fact, what did you say the other day? I was just saying something, and you're like, spoiler alert! And you were, like, all pissed off. And I'm like, no, it's not a spoiler. And you're like, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah. Dude, this is so stupid. Okay, we were talking about the clue at the end of the last book. Okay?
You might be doing it again. Just be careful.
No. I just gave an example. I'm like, so, like, if I were to say this, and she gets all pissed off at me, and she's like, oh, good job, thanks a lot. So this person's gonna die, huh? Oh, you're a fuck. And I'm like, no, I didn't say that. I'm saying as an example, no, you slipped. You slipped. And she got all fucking
I don't remember this conversation at all.
I mean, I'm sure, like, the way you did it was more like, you slipped, and it wasn't so mean and nasty. But
I would have been more British and dignified about it. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about on here, I like how I just like totally sidestepped that whole thing.
Yeah,
Um,
you did.
yeah, I did. Is from a blog called write-writing.com, like RIGHT-writing.com.
Mhm.
Um, and it's basically, he's like, I've developed a three-part strategy for overcoming a slump that works with both business and professional setbacks. The problem is the formula is so simple, it contains a total of 7 words, that you might be tempted to dismiss it, even though it has worked for me and hundreds of other individuals. So here is the formula for getting out of the slump. Number 1, do something. Number 2, do more. Number 3, keep doing it. And if we talk about like just like the simple, basic, broken down structure of this, the best way to get out of a slump or a writer's block or whatever is to write, and then to write more, and then keep writing. And I know that sounds really stupid, but it's really the honest truth. Because even with Black Star Canyon, there were so many times that I didn't want to write something that day. And some of the best bits came out of me not wanting to write. Like, there's a scene where Reagan and fucking Chuck are in the bathroom. Okay? That scene cracked me the fuck up, and I think it's really fucking funny what happens. But I didn't want to write that day, and I forced myself into that. The scene, Jack's last scene in episode 5, all the shit that happens before the phone call he gets, I didn't want to write that day, and that's what came out. I could, like, seriously, if I had the file open, I could tell you what parts were days that I didn't want to write and what amazing stuff came out. Like, some of the best stuff that came out of a lot of this was Chuck. Whenever I didn't want to write, I would put Chuck in a scene, because Chuck is the funnest character in the fucking world, and he just like lightens my day whenever I would write anything with Chuck in it. And then another thing, like with Lucas and Sue, if I didn't really feel like writing anything, their weird relationship is kind of that same way, where they don't know what they want and they don't know where they're going. So when I'm in a mood where I don't want to write, it's easy to write them, because they don't know what they're doing and they don't know what to do either. So it's just, yeah. So I just really think that when you don't want to write is probably when you're going to come up with your best shit, because it comes from so deep inside. It's not structured, it's not planned out. It's just you writing.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, I don't know. I didn't mean to get all deep there, but I really think that that's the best thing to write.
Yeah, and I think people appreciate that kind of information from you, because everybody's different, you know. Everybody works in different ways, and I'm sure that'll really appeal to some people, you know.
I mean, if you like tricking yourself, I think one thing you can do to just see how it works is put yourself in the most fucking hectic, busy situation of your week, and then just stop right there and start writing.
Yeah.
Like, wait till your house is in chaos and fucking kids are screaming, or there's a police chase going on out in front of your house, and fucking just sit down and start writing. And just see what comes out, because it's such a different flow and feel from when you write your structured, outlined stuff, you know?
Yeah, because your emotions are getting involved in it, rather than it just being...
I think what I'm going to try to do next thing I write is I'm going to try to make sure every chapter has at least a bit of that in it. I'm going to write everything, and then I'm going to go back in and go to each chapter and then write like a paragraph or two that I don't want to write and see how that
That's a good
comes
idea.
out.
Yeah. It's a really good idea.
That might be kind of weird.
Be
So anyway,
interesting.
I hope all of that helps. So basically, at the end of the day, just fucking write something.
I think when it comes down to it, that the information that we've given you there is that everybody's very different how they approach things. And I think you use the information we've given you that appeals most to your way of working, you know, and use a combination of all the different things or all the things Creep's been talking about or just a couple of them or whatever. And hopefully it'll help a bit because it's a common problem.
Okay, that guy said, the guy who I didn't know what he was getting at, I guess he has like a photography group, and he says, it's really tough for me to critique this since there's hardly anything that I can find about the picture that I would change. The colors are vibrant or something. And then he said he's talking about the historic area in Jeddah. I hope I said that right. And it's in Saudi Arabia. So that's cool. Someone's watching from Saudi Arabia. Awesome.
Really? Wow.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. And I
Yeah,
hope
I
this...
do too.
So I guess at this point we have to give away the Kindle, right?
The moment you've all been waiting for.
So just to give everyone a recap of what the fuck we're talking about. On June 1st, we started talking about a thing we were going to do where we were going to give a Kindle away, and how you get entered into the competition is you leave a review of our books, and however many books you review, that's how many times your name gets thrown in to the thing. And I really thought, because and here's my hat that we're going to use today, and here's all the names of people. I really thought we were going to get a lot more, because we ended up, here's the thing, we had more people submit reviews this time than we did with the Nook, but the people who submitted reviews for the Nook reviewed more things. So, and it might just be because a lot of the people who went into this didn't, or have already reviewed a bunch of stuff, so they couldn't do as many. But we have about 20 people who did the reviews, and some of them did more than one. Actually, some of them did more than one, but a couple did like 5 or 6, which was awesome. So yeah. Do you have anything you want to say about any of that?
No, I'd just like to say thank you very much to everyone who participated and left a review. And please don't just stop now. I know you're not going to get a Kindle out of it from now on, but we'll always appreciate it.
Definitely.
And if we're even on the ball, we might even give you a mention with a bit of luck. But it's hugely appreciated. So good luck, everybody.
Totally appreciated.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
So here we go. This is
shuffling.
Hang on, he's shuffling. This is the result going to be pulled for the Kindle.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Shuffling?
Yep.
I'm mixing it up.
Mixing it up, people. Who's it going to be? It's still shuffling.
Okay, is the suspense killing you?
Something's killing me.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, he's got a name.
I have a name.
He's got a name.
This piece of paper.
It's on the paper.
And the winner is... Can you read upside down? Alicia.
Alicia!
Yay!
Yay!
So good job, and thank you for that.
Thank
And,
you so much, everyone.
We'll hit you up on that and get that. So
That's fantastic. Well, that was a bit of an anticlimax. Thank you so much, everybody.
I feel like there should be like horns playing or something. I don't know. I feel like it was kind of a letdown. Viola's like, the winner is Viola.
Do you want to do? No,
I don't know. I wish there was like music playing or like confetti coming.
Do you want to do? Oh, hang on.
But
do you want to do extra, like maybe 2 more pulls to see if we can give mugs away or something, or is that overdoing it?
2 more what?
Mugs.
Oh, you mean like this awesome Black Star Canyon Season 1 mug that has all of the book covers from Season 1 on it? You want to give away a mug?
Wow.
Is that what you're saying?
Do you think?
Are you really serious? You want to give some more stuff away?
Well, I think we should be really grateful. I think we should.
All right.
Hang on.
Then I guess we're doing a mug. Are we doing a mug?
Can you hear that?
Hear what? What? Oh shit, there you go. And the winner is
JP! Oh my god!
Did he win a mug last time?
Oh, my applause isn't working.
Did he win a mug at the launch party?
No, he didn't. He won a poster.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you want to do another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
My applause isn't working though. That's a bit annoying.
Okay. So, GP, yay!
Yay! Right, here's.
This is so more climactic than the other thing.
I know. I'm sorry about that, Alicia.
Okay.
I should have thought about that.
Okay. I have something here. Now you don't need to do it twice. And it is Dawn.
Dawn! Yay!
Oh, yay. Holy shit! That is so funny. That makes it so much better. Where's the clapping?
It's not working. I don't know why.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to do it myself, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I go to make this happen?
Effects at the bottom. Like the yellowy one.
The yellowy one, I got it. Okay, so it's opening up right now, and let me see. There it is. Yay.
So there you go. Please send us your addresses. I believe we have GPs already because he wins a lot of stuff because he's incredibly awesome and is incredibly supportive with all our stuff. No, he really is. Oh, so that wasn't very funny though.
Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. That was just a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, so
okay,
GP,
yeah, so
not that you all aren't, but GP, we already have his address. So Dawn, if we don't have your address, can you please drop us a line somewhere, either on the Facebook page or to Creep?
Dawn and Alicia are both newsletter people who are very active in newsletters, so...
so you know their addresses?
Well, I don't know their addresses, but I could get them.
Okay.
I don't know if they're necessarily watching the show or not, but yeah. So that's cool. Wow, GP's probably not even watching, and he just won something. He's probably sitting at home. He's going to be stoked as shit.
He's going to be over the moon.
He's going to be the only person, I think, who has a Podcast 451 mug and a Black Star Canyon Season 1 mug.
And a poster.
And a poster. God, he's getting all
sorts of stuff. He is getting all sorts of cool stuff. I'm a bit annoyed, to be honest.
Yeah. If you're giving
so let's wrap this up because we've been along.
If you're giving stuff away, you can't get annoyed at people.
I can.
And just so everyone knows, the Kindle is just a Kindle Paperwhite. It wasn't like a new Fire or anything, so don't get too tripped out.
It's still awesome, and you can still read all sorts of cool stuff on it.
Yeah.
Are we loading it with things?
Are we what?
Are we loading it with things as part of the prize?
We can. I didn't know if we should do that or if I should just send them the files.
Oh,
I was originally just going to send them the files so when they open it, it's new and they could do whatever the fuck they want to do to it.
Yeah.
And they could side load it. But yeah, so that's super cool.
I think we should get out of here because we've taken way too much of everybody's precious time up.
Okay. Well, I want to thank all of you for watching the show today. Thank you for the reviews. Keep them coming. And everyone go out and get Black Star Canyon, the complete second season, because it has bonus features in it. We didn't even talk about this. There's fan Q&A. There is all the blog posts that I did up to the launch and what happened after the launch, a launch party wrap-up, and the press release that I put out, and all this other stuff. So there's a bunch of like extra cool shit that you could look through, I guess. So that's on Amazon, and next week, Welcome to Black Star Canyon, the tour guide to the town. It will be available on Amazon as well. So thank you everyone for hanging out with us.
Check out Char's book.
Oh yeah, Char's book.
The Ogres of Hickory Cottage. And check out Jim's 150th episode of Hypnobobs. Because it's
super awesome.
Okay, everyone.
All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks for watching. Oh, and next week is our 40th episode spectacular.
Wow, is it?
Yeah. I have no idea what it's going to be. Okay, so we'll see you guys all next time. Bye-bye.